So what would happen if four friends from Best Buy decided to create the greatest podcast in the world? You would get Underground Nerd Nation, of course. We mainly talk about topics related to nerd culture and pop culture, but you never know where our conversations may take us. Like the time we got in a debate over grading scales. You're bound to have a good time with Underground Nerd Nation, so come join the Underground. We got beer and pizza down here.
That was just another pointless sequel that didn't have to be made.
For years, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were trying to get a remake of The Evil Dead off the ground, and in 2013, they finally succeeded. Uruguayan director Fede Alvarez took over the directing reins and wrote the script along with some other guy, and Diablo Cody did a dialogue polish because they apparently were native Spanish speakers. They cast the film with Jane Levy, Shiloh Fernandez, and a bunch of other people that I've sort of heard of and have no idea what they do. The movie was, I think, budgeted at $17 million. It grossed something in the general area of $90 million and was received positively and generally considered a success. But what did we think about it? That's what we're going to talk about here today on License to Watch. It's the 2013 remake of The Evil Dead.
All right, here we are. Do you want to introduce our guest, too?
Yeah, sure. I don't usually introduce the guests.
You're talking.
Well, yeah, I guess. Maybe we should have Sabrina introduce herself since I don't really know what she does or how she wants to be introduced.
Joining us is Sabrina. Sabrina.
Hi.
You want to tell? Hey, good. We're good. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what's going on here exactly for the listeners, and then tell us what you've been up to all this time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited to be here. I've been wanting to be a guest on your podcast forever. And so my name is Sabrina. I went to school with Matt and Harris. I'm a writer. I work mostly on YA shows. I just did a show called The Summer I Turned Pretty. That was super exciting. And that's pretty much me. I hate horror movies, so this is very exciting. And yes, but other than that, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And thank you for doing this. I can't believe it. I think the first email I sent out to Sabrina to try to get her on the show was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, she's kind of a no-brainer guest, and it's amazing that we haven't had her on.
Well, it's funny that it ended up being this movie too, because
I know
we have a bit of a history of this movie, for this movie. Maybe you could tell us about that, Sabrina.
Yes, for sure. So way back when we were in film school, I was an intern for a production company at the time it was called Mandate Pictures, and now it's called Good Universe. And they produced this movie. And so I got to go to the movie premiere.
Was it the official premiere, or was it just a screening for...
I feel like it was a premiere, right? Wasn't it at the ArcLight? And then we went to...
Yeah, I was struggling to remember where it was, and in my memory, it was in a screening room at CAA or something like that. But I think you might be right. I think it was the ArcLight. I just remember afterwards that we were kind of there was a little bit of a mingling thing going on. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was me, you, and someone else was with us from school. I can't remember who.
There was also another intern from the company that was there that hung out with us.
Oh, okay, that might be it. And I do remember briefly talking with Sam Raimi, but we were definitely talking with Fede Alvarez, and then Sam Raimi came over and was talking to us.
I don't remember that.
I don't think he spoke much, but he just kind of was nodding along with whatever we were saying to Fede Alvarez, and we were just oh, we love the movie. It was so good.
as one does at a premiere when they're talking to the director.
Yeah. And so Fede Alvarez, this was his first big thing. He was coming hot off of, I think did he do Pixels? The original short film that Pixels is based on? It was either that or
It was some
other
short
short
film. He had
film.
some short
Yeah.
film. I think it was called
Yeah.
Ghost Train or something like that.
Train.
Something. It was something that had done well on the like festival circuit. And
If
was
only we
getting a
had
lot
done research and looked this up.
I mean, I did look this up, but I refuse to stay on my laptop while I want to be in the moment. I'm into recording the podcast. I'm not going to be pecking away on some computer.
We'll have to
If
do a follow-up episode where we just make all the corrections.
Yeah, because that sounds like something we'd invest time in.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was something like Panic Attack-ish or something like that. And it was
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
very found footage of like an alien attack or something. And he did all the graphics for it and everything. And it went viral on YouTube.
Yes.
Right. It was like CGI heavy stuff. And that's why it was kind of a big deal
Exactly.
that when they did this, they really didn't do a lot of CGI. They made it all kind of practical, which is pretty cool.
As we're watching a CGI person.
Yes.
burn.
The most CGI part of the movie.
This kind of happened during this little resurgence of like short filmmakers like being plucked out of obscurity to do like big movies, and I get it confused with Pixels because that was a short film from France, I think. France.
Sorry.
And that director was like plucked out of obscurity.
But
too.
it was also like always these directors that could do a lot of like CGI stuff and make low budget stuff look like bigger budget stuff, which I think is the silliest way to pick a director for a bigger budget movie because
I think they do it probably for our level of control because they're
Yeah.
so happy to be able to direct a feature film that they'll just do whatever they're told.
Yeah, no, true.
Also, like the guy who directed Lights Out, I forget his name, that horror movie. That was like a 2-minute short, and they were like,
Yeah.
here's $50 million.
I was really turned off by that one.
And I think the guy who directed like the It movies, I forget his name. He did It, and he did
Stephen King.
yeah, no, he did a movie called Mama. Do you guys remember that movie?
Oh yeah. I
And that
remember
was like a short that was like 45 seconds long, and they were
Was
like,
it
"Yep,
about Elvis?
You can make movies now."
Like, oh, mama.
45 seconds. We've seen all we need to see. Congratulations.
All right,
Elvis is hot right now. Everyone wants an Elvis reference.
Can we talk about this cast, by the way? Because I've never seen a cast of people whose names seem vaguely familiar to me, but whose faces I could not pick out of like they're the most generic actors and actresses that I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah, so why don't we start with the lead?
And they've never done anything else aside from some TV stuff. And honestly, the lead is Jane Levy's probably the only person that I actually like might have recognized outside of this.
Well, yeah, for me, this guy with the long hair, his name is Lou Taylor Pucci, and he had a hot moment where he was in like a bunch of movies in the early 2000s, I think.
But then he returned to his home planet.
yeah.
I have to go now.
He was sort of in these like indie movies. I forget. Like I think one of them is called Chum Scrubber. Do you guys remember that one?
No.
I don't.
And
sounds great though.
yeah, and he's in another movie around the same time that has a very similar title, and I can't think of the name.
Thumbsucker. He was
It's,
the lead in Thumbsucker, which actually I remember I did watch that movie.
Yeah,
so,
there you go. So he had Thumbsucker and Chum Scrubber like in the same year or something.
He was trying to shape his career around similarly titled movies, which is why he hasn't done a feature since.
Yeah. And then Jane Levy, she went on to TV, right? She did
Yes,
like a.
she did.
She did Suburgatory,
Yes,
which was wonderful.
and that was kind of her breakout to really put her on the map. I think it was only around for a season or two, Sabrina?
Yeah, I think about 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then was she on something else?
Well, she recently was on, like a couple of years ago, was on a thing called Zoe's Infinite Playlist, which was kind of interesting. I think she's like really a likable actress.
Are you talking about the movie with Michael Cera and?
No, that's Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist.
A lot of people have infinite playlists.
Yeah.
that
It was her
aren't
extraordinary playlist.
Extraordinary. That's right. Wrong
okay.
adjective. My
Yeah.
fault.
Yes. Very different kind of playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's you can call something extraordinary more than you can call it infinite because you're telling a lie. Nothing's infinite. Everything is finite in this world. I don't know if you guys know this, including careers like these guys.
And Shiloh Fernandez, I know exactly why he hasn't done anything. Like he's been in stuff, and I think he's another guy who's like mostly TV stuff. But have you ever seen such a like punchable, douchey face? He looks like he should be playing like he should be playing lacrosse for Duke or something like that. This is what that is what that face means. And
He's got that classic hoodie underneath a jacket. It's not really that. It's like the hood is built into the jacket that was so popular in this, like, for 10 years in movies. Like, I feel like every Tom Cruise movie that he's in.
Well, that was the Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol look. Was like that was hoodie Tom Cruise.
And like, have you ever tried to do that? Have you ever tried to put a sweatshirt on under a jacket, like a leather jacket like that? It's just really uncomfortable, and like you can't move, and it's like.
I actually like wearing hoodies under jackets when it's cold out, and I don't find it complicated at all.
Maybe I'm a bulky man. I don't understand.
It keeps your neck real hot.
No, just looking at the way you dress yourself, Matt, I suspect that dressing yourself might come a little more.
It's
a little harder to you.
It's challenging for me. I just want to be naked all the time, and like when clothes come into the picture, it's just confusing. And
Sabrina, any thoughts on Shiloh Fernandez?
Yes, one time I saw him at a party, and I don't know if it was him or if it was a guy who looked exactly like him. But my roommate was into it and went to hit on him, and then he was extremely rude. So
Duke Lacrosse.
And that's the end of my fantastic Shiloh Fernandez story.
This other actress, her name is Jessica Lucas.
Which sounds like the kind of name that I'm like, is that familiar because I know it, or is that familiar because it sounds like a name that's familiar?
It does sound
like
very
generic
familiar.
and
But she's in stuff. I think she's in Cloverfield, which is another like, kind of
another thing with a bunch of faceless actors that could be replaced by anybody in the same age group.
She kind of had a moment, but like never really broke through as a name. But she's in a couple of things that I've seen.
So another fascinating story is so I'm from Canada, as some of you may know, and we don't very much like which actors are Canadian. Jessica Lucas is Canadian, and I don't know how I know that, but I know that Jessica Lucas is Canadian.
It's like built into your genetic profile. If you're born in Canada, you automatically know all the other.
Was this movie shot in Canada? Might have been.
New Zealand.
Oh, that close. I was close.
Yeah, they have a lot in common.
The Canada of Australia.
Exactly. Exactly. Do you ever find it suspicious that 90% of the Canadian population is gathered along the border?
No, not really. It's a weather thing, but it's interesting when you meet people from northern provinces. They're like, "Oh, you Southerners," and I always think Texas, but it's like, "Oh no, it's just the rest of Canada."
Yeah.
Also, it's weird that they can talk because they're polar bears.
Polar bears can't talk.
Only about Coca-Cola.
Damn it, I was going to say Coca-Cola, damn it.
Honestly, I feel like those polar bears don't talk either. Even in commercials, the polar bears can't talk.
They can pretty much just say...
Even those toilet paper bears don't really talk.
I don't want them to talk. Those Charmin.
The Charmin bears?
Shit.
No, the Charmin bears do talk. Like in the commercials, they're like, it's so
disgusting.
soft.
It's disgusting.
They have an obsession with toilet paper.
Well, I mean,
an unhealthy obsession.
Yeah, maybe.
Like wiping is like a fetish to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Let's get back to this movie. Let's synopsize. All right. What's the word? What's the describing? What's the
synopsiquy?
Synopsiquy. That's it.
Yeah. It's time for Colin's synopsiquy of this movie that he has totally seen in its entirety.
Maybe we can help him with the end. We'll jump.
All right.
We'll jump in.
All right, Colin, you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, so the opening scene is a preamble to what we see happen, and it's a woman getting burned alive because she's got the evil in her. And then we see
getting burned alive by her
father. So then we see a group of young people, and it's an intervention. This woman's like, I'm gonna throw away my drugs, and I'm done with drugs. And then
her undescribed. She doesn't say what kind of drugs it is. It's just a powder.
Yeah,
Sorry,
heroin powder. Yeah. I thought it was cocaine. But anyways, heroin's probably a better choice. Whatever. So then they're there, and her brother's there, and he's like, well, I'm just trying to reconnect with her because I was not a good brother or something. And they're like, well, we can't let her leave. But then they find out this is the same house where the evil lives, and they find the book, the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, that unleashes the evil, and that dumb motherfucker reads the book. And then the evil gets in the girl, and they're like, "Oh, this is not withdrawal. This is something else." And then a lot of fucked up shit happens. She kills a dog, and then they start killing each other, and they lock her in the basement. And then eventually, only her and the brother are left, and the brother buries her alive, and then she dies, and then he brings her back to life, and she doesn't have the evil anymore, but then the evil's still there, and there's like a blood rain, and she tries to get in the Jeep and run away, and then he does get away.
He doesn't know.
And I kind of don't want to spoil it for him.
Did you see the chainsaw part?
I think so.
The final like moment.
No, he clearly didn't, because that's like the most memorable part of this movie. I think.
I told you where I got.
She gets attacked by another zombie person. Which is the zombie that attacks her at the end? Which
It's the
of
one that
characters?
the prophecy is fulfilled, and the evil rises from the earth, and it like forms the poster of the original movie.
Right, yeah.
And it looks like her. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out who that zombie was supposed to be. Sabrina, you know who the girl who attacks her at the end is? Any idea who that was supposed to be?
I think it's a metaphor for the demons she's been fighting emotionally.
Okay, that makes
Other
sense.
than that, I've got nothing.
That's why it looks like her.
It looks like her.
Okay.
Like it's gonna kill her and replace her, maybe.
Yeah.
But it flips the Jeep onto her hand, and she has to tear her own hand off, which is the grossest part of this movie.
And it's
that's
the most
full of gross
ridiculous
stuff.
part of this movie.
Oh, it's so appalling.
In a movie that tries so hard to keep this like grounded in reality, despite its like concept, it basically took the original movie and like got rid of all the camp and all the comedy and tried to make like a serious version of Evil Dead. We'll get into why later on, but it mostly achieves this, I think, except for that part, like the ripping off the hand.
I totally agree with everything you just said. And then the ripping off the hand, and then after tearing her own hand off, she does not go into shock. She picks up a chainsaw, she jams her hand, her nub into part of the chainsaw and chainsaws this demon in half, which was awesome, but also very gross and also very like unrealistic for a movie that is, I think, attempting to be like the grounded version of the first Evil Dead.
But then it just goes to black, or does she get back in the Jeep? Or
And
what?
then it really just go like, I think it's like the rain stops.
I think the
and
rain
she's-
stops, the
yeah.
blood rain, and then she just kind of looks up at the sky and
she's like, nice.
Noise. Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, like,
But then there's the credits, and at the end of the credits,
Oh, okay.
there's a Harris. Did you watch it too?
Yeah.
It just cuts to a half lit face, and the face turns, and it's Bruce Campbell, and he says "groovy," and it just cuts to black.
nice.
It's stupid. It
It's
makes no
very
sense.
weird.
That makes sense.
It's a giant bummer.
Yeah. I had read that there was a deleted ending that was shot where she's driving away from the thing and she sees a hitchhiker and she stops and it's Bruce Campbell and he says something like, "Hey."
Did you go to that cabin?
Hey, how'd
I've
you
been
like
there.
the cabin?
Yeah.
Oh,
You don't have a hand either.
yeah. So let's get into, I guess, Sabrina, before we go into it, what's your like history? Do you like the Evil Dead movies? Have you seen them all? Like, what's your history with these movies?
It's sad, but this is the only one of the franchise I've actually seen.
Oh, wow.
I just know of them, and I know that they're far more camp, that there's far more humor, and so even though I hadn't seen the previous movies, I missed the camp here because I was hoping for camp. And I'm not a huge fan of horror and gore in general, so I have actually questions from a non-fan for you guys. Who, Matt, I know you're a fan, but like, yeah, so it's interesting because it was a journey watching this movie, or I guess rewatching, because I guess we watched it 10 years ago. But...
Yeah.
A journey or a struggle?
A struggle can be a journey.
Yes.
Well, I mean, for me, I was expecting, I had only seen it the one time with you also, and I couldn't really remember much from this movie, like specific scenes or whatever, which in my mind tells me like, oh, it was probably bad. But I was kind of impressed that, like, you know, as I feel like this movie is not memorable. It's very like generic, but for what it is, the pacing of it all and like whatever is not bad. Really, for me, the part I dislike the most is the expository dialogue of them like first meeting each other. I hate in movies when they're like, "Hey, sister, like you remember my roommate from college, Bobby,"
and then your good friend.
yeah. Here he is in the flesh. His name is John. You guys got that? They like look at the audience. Yeah, I thought that was pretty bad.
I'm sorry. You go into a basement, you find that many dead cats, and you're not like, let's go to a different place.
Yeah. First of all, let's not touch anything.
The dude's like, oh, I'll just bury all the cats. Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
Whose house is this?
Well, they
The
make it
first
very clear by all the family photos that it's all of their house.
Right? But
Sabrina, just talk over them. You're trying to be. The Canadian in you is trying to be too polite.
sorry.
No, it's interesting because the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, they're going for all the cliches that have become such cliches of horror movies that it's a cliche to make fun of those cliches kind of thing, like the cabin in the woods, the sexy teenagers, the blood in the basement, but they're not running away. But they go through all of them. And at first it was very eye-rolly, but then I was like, you know what? This guy was like, fuck it, it's a cliche, I know. And I'm not sure if I respect just how little fuck was given about finding any originality, or if I'm just like, oh, come on, you could have done some like semblance of trying to pretend that there's originality here.
And the cabin just looks so decrepit and there's probably just spiders everywhere.
I found every time they had like electricity, or she uses hot water and they have electricity, every time any of those scenes where they show them like flipping a light switch, it really stood out in my mind.
Inappropriate.
I was like, what the
Who
fuck?
is paying the power bill here? I totally agree, Sabrina. This is like this movie's biggest failing that you guys are kind of hinting at, is that like it because it's actually the first time I saw this, because the first time I watched the first Evil Dead movie was for this podcast. So I'd already seen this movie, and I'd seen Evil Dead 2, and I'd seen Army of Darkness, which I think Sabrina would probably enjoy a lot more than this.
Oh yeah.
Because it's way more comedy. But I'd never seen the original Evil Dead, and this is actually, as Matt said, a pretty faithful adaptation, realistic adaptation of that first movie. Like if you were even though it technically is a sequel because it exists in a later time in the same universe. Yeah. It is kind of has so many of the tropes and moments in that movie sort of turned on their heads or just sort of slightly skewed. The problem is that movie was so influential and was already coming from kind of a cabin in the woods, sexy teenagers genre,
which it created.
Yeah, exactly. And so to make kind of a faithful remake of that, you can't do it without just basically engaging in every single dumb cliche that has become a dumb cliche. And they don't do enough it's well executed, but what's the point? You're just making, if this wasn't called Evil Dead, we'd be like, oh, what a hack job.
I really like the addition of the intervention aspect of it. I thought that was pretty clever. And
they could have taken that farther.
Yeah, and
for sure.
And they do a good job of sort of explaining that's their reason why they're not leaving, is they don't want her to relapse. Yeah. I kind of buy.
The part of but that was that's sort of the updating the original in making it a little more realistic, because in the original it didn't make any sense that they were even there and what were they doing there? What was their goal? And
I still feel like if you left this place, it would take you several hours to acquire drugs.
Yeah.
Sort of a limited solution. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys, you've seen the most of the movies in the franchise.
We've seen them all.
You've seen
Yes.
But there's a new one coming out in a couple months, right?
Yeah.
There is. Right. Yep.
Yeah. Have you found that there's a theme, an underlying, how Scream is all about being meta and challenging the tropes of horror? Is there a theme that's underlying through all the Evil Dead movies?
Yeah, the evil is coming.
The evil, it's quite dead.
When I walked in, Colin was watching the movie and he was like, I see the evil's the bad guy again.
I would say this movie kind of ventures the most left from whatever cohesive theme this series might have. The cohesive theme of the first three is, it's kind of, they're tonally, not even. I don't know. Harris, you want to jump in here?
Maybe
second and third movie are the closest in tone.
And they are very much like Three Stooges meets
meets Dead Alive.
Meets Dead Alive. It's kind of over the top gore, but the gore in this movie, I'm not a big gore fan. I'm not a huge horror fan, but I'm specifically not a big gore fan. Like the Hostel movies and the stuff like that, like the torture porn wing of this genre is really unappealing to me. And this has some really disturbingly realistic gore, whereas all the other Evil Dead movies have fountains of blood and people getting limbs chopped off, but it's always kind of
so fake.
Yeah, it's so
all
fake.
these different colors of pus, like blue.
Right,
and green
it's like
and
almost
yellow
it becomes
and,
like silly. Even when they do a really good job, it's kind of like that it's silly. You're like, wow, look at that makeup. They did a really nice job with that, but it never doesn't seem like it's makeup.
If you watch that in a theater, if you watch Evil Dead 2 or 3 in a theater with people, there's going to be a lot of laughing. A lot of like people are going to be laughing at the effects. Whereas this movie has no laughs at all.
Yes, people are going to be like squirming and groaning.
Yeah. What was like the squirmiest scene for you guys? I can tell you what mine is.
Oh, it's
the
definitely
needle thing.
The what?
Her stabbing him with the needle.
No, for me it was her splitting her tongue by licking.
That was.
That one made me wince. Yeah.
The girl squeezing the black pus out of her hand.
Fuck, that was bad.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, and then obviously her ripping her hand off at the end was the worst for me.
I felt like when she puked the blood onto the other girl, it looked a lot like Hawaiian Punch, though.
That felt the most like the other Evil Dead movies to me.
Sabrina, what was your cringiest or most painful to watch scene?
I'm
She's
not gonna
"I
I close my eyes for a lot of
You don't even know the scenes we're talking.
Which is the one that you closed your eyes the hardest for?
You know what? I was closing my eyes and I was like, the sound design is wonderful because I can feel the goriness. Even I think they like layered. There's screaming and there's like mushiness and then they layered like, and I read on them IMDb fun facts or whatever that they layered like screams from the original movies kind of thing. So when you don't look at it, you actually get a lot from the movie. So
yeah.
Another one that I thought of that I think just bothered me more than it should have, because it wasn't a huge effect or anything, but when the demon creature's chasing her through like the wall crawl space and stabbing the machete through it, and at one point it slices through the top of her bent knee, and I was like, oh my god, that would be like the end. That would be like I would be done. I'd be like, I can't walk now because part of my kneecap has been like,
it's gonna be so hard to heal there because your knee
it's
bends
just awful.
all
And
the
as
time.
somebody who doesn't have great knees, that's like a nightmare. Of like my knees already hurt. I don't need machetes going through them in any part.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly.
I also think in general, people being like submerged in mucky water is gross. And then of course the tree, like.
Oh yeah,
the tree rape. We forgot about that.
Yes, of course,
bad.
the traditional Evil Dead tree rape.
Yeah, they brought that back.
Which was not as appalling as the one in Evil Dead 2.
Oh no, the one in the original movie. That's the one that's
that's the one where they really
rapey.
yeah.
It's like hard to watch, Sabrina. We watched the first. We've gone through all the movies. This is our last time doing this, and in the first movie is like trying to be a horror movie. It's like serious. It's got cool gory effects, and it's not really trying to be a comedy. The second Evil Dead 2 is essentially a remake of the first movie. It's like the same exact plot with some minor differences and the same lead, and all the same stuff happens, but it's done comedically and it goes over the top, and they really play into the tongue-in-cheek, like they just up the gore factor, but for like comedy's sake rather than trying to be deliberately scary. And then the third movie is they go back to medieval times, and it's like ridiculous, and it's really just an effects showpiece.
It's the best one.
It is the best one. Yeah. And then this one kind of brings it back, and they bring back the tree rape, which is done in both 1 and 2, and it's like I said, the first one's hard to watch. The second one they kind of make it a little more watchable. It's like it's not as
a little less appalling.
Yeah,
but also I thought the effects in the first one were better than the ones in the second one, or more impressive.
Because they kind of zip through it in the second one.
Yeah,
they're like,
it's like they're embarrassed. They feel like they need to do it, but they don't really want to.
And then in this one, it's pretty. So this demon that she sees, that's her. I guess.
I get it now. Now I remember.
All right, so this is pretty gross. This like tree snake thing, like straight up like crawls up her.
Yeah,
it's so slimy.
Yeah, it's just gross.
Yeah.
If the challenge was make a remake of the original Evil Dead, but make it really realistic and well done and straight horror, like they've succeeded at that.
Yeah,
and I just don't know why that was the thing that they were trying to do.
I think around this time, the trend was to like all the like classic horror movies were being remade. They redid Friday the 13th. They redid Nightmare on Elm Street. They redid Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They redid like everything under the sun. And then it was Evil Dead's turn. And like now it's weird. It's sort of this microcosm in time where every horror movie was remade, and then that's it. Like there were no Halloween was another one that was being remade at the time. None of them went anywhere. The only one that got a sequel that I could think of was the Halloween, the Rob Zombie remake, and that was terrible. I don't even know how it got a sequel.
Did you guys ever see Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
That was your thought?
Yeah, that's my whole thought. I saw that. I can't remember. I can't remember a lot about Jeepers Creepers, but I remember they run the creeper guy over with the car, and then they back over him again, and then they run over him again, and then they back over him again. And they just do it over and over, and then he's
still alive.
He's still alive. Yeah, he still comes to get him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of why this movie was made. But again, it's like, I don't know. Everyone had blinders on. It's like, why? Why would you take this campy classic movie and like remake it in a serious way? Like, what did they think was gonna come of this? I don't know. I mean, yeah, you're right, Harris. Like, kudos to them for they completed the homework assignment. They made a serious version of a silly movie. But to what end? You know, it's like,
well, what did what's it? Is it Letty? Is that what you said the director's name was?
Fetty.
Fetty. So sorry. My bad. What did he go on to do after this?
He did Don't Breathe, I think was maybe his next movie.
Oh, he directed that?
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
What's his name? Fetty Arbuckle?
Alvarez.
Alfred.
Just say Fetty Arbuckle.
I really was. I should have listened. I'm so sorry. He's good. He's good.
And I think he's directing something now that sounds kind of cool.
Evil
like,
Dead.
Don't
The
Breathe.
Girl in the Spider's Web.
He did the Chainsaw Massacre remake a couple years ago.
El
really?
Cojonudo.
He did the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo sequel.
Yes, the one without the original.
Without David
without
Fincher, yeah.
David Fincher, and yeah,
Is that the Girl in the Spider's Web?
that's the
Yes.
one.
Okay.
That's who's the actress in that?
She's from The Queen.
Oh yeah, right.
The
Claire
Crown.
Foy?
The Crown. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah.
He also, I guess, did Story on Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022,
Okay.
which they remade again. You were talking about a different remake just now.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about is the one with Jessica Biel.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Um,
from Summer Catch.
from
That's just like it says on our Wikipedia page. Jessica Biel from Summer Catch, best known for Summer Catch.
You guys don't like Summer Catch? Why not? It's good.
I was
Freddie
more
Prinze
of a
Jr.
Seventh Heaven fan.
Oh,
So you
How
guys
come-
were both just on your phones looking stuff up. Did you find anything fun? What was that? Is that
that's
an
what. That's the
earthquake?
heater.
Oh my god!
It makes
We're
noises.
dying.
You have heat.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's on.
it's a fancy LA apartment.
I do
Yeah.
feel it. It feels nice. It's warming my backside.
It's cold for an LA day. What is it? Like 50?
Yeah, something like that.
what is the
Sabrina,
temperature
what's-
there?
Yeah, how is it where you are?
Oh, I don't know. It's cold as balls. I haven't been out since I've had COVID for the last week and a half, so I haven't been out. I just can see everything freezing over. I was supposed to get a mic for this podcast, and Amazon sent me an email saying we can't deliver because everything is frozen over. So
Oh my god!
It's 47
but
outside here.
yeah, but it doesn't say much for this movie that we're talking about the weather.
Yeah,
We talk about whatever we want to on
yeah,
this
we can talk about
podcast.
anything.
Okay,
we can
cool,
talk
cool.
about anything we want, and especially if we feel like we're running thin on movie material to talk about.
I just now was trying to force the conversation towards Freddie Prinze Jr.
I appreciated that.
In a not so subtle way.
This actor in this movie almost has a Freddie Prinze Jr. like quality to
Yeah,
him.
he's got like the Freddie
How
Prinze
dare you.
Jr. like the FPJ douchey younger brother vibe.
No, Freddie's so charming and lovely.
Exactly. And he's got this little asshole younger brother, Shiloh Fernandez.
Oh, okay, right. It's like the little brother you don't like.
Yeah,
The donkey.
exactly.
Ducky.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, why aren't you tall and charming like your brother? And but you know why he's such an asshole? Because he's bitter about that he didn't get the tall and charming genes, and you kind of feel sad for him now.
Makes you wonder
And
what
you're
he
like,
did
oh,
last
maybe I could
summer.
fix him.
I have a bone to pick with this movie. Did you guys notice that the dog's name is Grandpa?
Yes.
Is that a reference to something or like what?
All I thought was like, what a great name for a dog. Can you imagine naming your puppy Grandpa?
It's stupid.
It's
like
bold. It's like,
it is
hey, this
bold,
dog
yeah.
is gonna be old.
Yeah, exactly. This name's not going to make sense for like 10 years, but then people are going to be like, yeah.
I feel like if you adopt a dog after it's already old and you don't know what to name it, then you name it Grandpa.
It posed so many questions for me. I was like, wait, is that actually their grandpa? Was he transformed into a dog? Does this family already do witchcraft? Like, is that
Yeah, maybe they fed Grandpa's ashes to the dog.
Oh my god, that's disgusting. But
So
also
nasty,
probably
I'm
what
sorry.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then him like hugging this dead dog and like with all the muddy brown blood all over him was really gross.
Have you guys ever hugged a dead pet? Have you guys ever had any dead pets?
I had a suicidal bird.
Suicidal?
Yeah, he kept trying to kill himself. He tried to hang himself, and if you would let him out of his cage, he would like ram into walls and things like that.
Wow.
In hindsight, we shouldn't have left the revolver in his cage.
Yeah, finally did the trick with the pills.
That's crazy.
And when that bird finally succeeded in killing itself, did you hug it?
No, I was at summer camp and my mom got another one, and I came back from summer camp and I was like, oh my God, Ricky's the bird. Ricky's mood is just so much better. And mom was like, isn't it just? And
Send
and
him
he
to
stopped
bird
being
therapy.
suicidal.
She didn't tell you for 20 years.
Yeah. We got him a real good bird therapist. He's doing his steps and making progress. One day at a time, Ricky. One day at
Right?
a
I was
time.
just so happy for him.
Yeah.
I remember flushing many a fish down the toilet and being very sad about it, and my mom having to explain to me that like it's okay, like fish can die. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
all right.
like they don't count as real. You don't have to be sad for this.
That's not what we're talking about, Matt. Those weren't your pets.
I believe she said they don't have souls or thoughts, and I was like, oh, okay.
I remember we drove, the first pets we ever had were goldfish. We all went, and me and my brothers picked out some goldfish, and then we had to drive. We were moving from someplace in Texas to San Antonio, and when we got there, the goldfish, which had been in little, we had them in little goldfish bowls the entire ride and kept them alive the whole way. And it wasn't like, it was like a day's drive or something. But by the time we got there, they were dead. And I went, and I was sad, and I went in the back to bury them. And I found like some water, and I was like, oh, it makes sense to bury them in some shallow water because they like water. But if you've ever tried to bury something in water, it doesn't happen. So then I'm like, they keep on floating to the surface, and now I've got like the spade, and I'm like trying to whack them down into the water. I think I was like in third grade or something.
Stay dead.
really
Stay dead.
They keep coming back. Finally, I was like, fuck it. They're just, this is an appropriate place for them.
Burying is not the word for what you.
Yeah, I know.
you submerged them.
I know.
You submerged them in water.
But I tried to put like mud on top of them so they would stay submerged, and it did not work.
Wow.
Yep. The dog I have currently is the like only real pet I've ever had in my entire life, and she's a puppy. So, her death will be in probably like 15 years or something.
I hope you make it.
Yeah.
My
best case scenario.
My biggest goal as a cat owner is to outlive my cats. And when I found out that they can live up to 18 years, maybe even longer, I was like, oh no.
I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, I feel like there's a slim chance that I will die a cat owner, which is not a dream that I have. I would love to not have that happen. Although on the other hand, I do hate dead things. So I'm not like, that's something that I'm like constantly paranoid about, like weirdly paranoid, is that like one of my cats is going to like poison itself or something, and I'm going to come home and find like one of my cats dead, and it's going to be like the worst day.
It's going to leave a note. Like, it's really vicious.
Yeah, like this is your fault. I blame you. Like what? Like there's like nice suicide notes and there's vindictive ones, and I feel like my cats, even if it isn't true, will leave a vindictive one.
Yeah.
I wanted chicken. I wanted liver. You did not deliver. Sorry.
I think the oldest dog just turned 30, if I remember correctly. So you never know. They might be here for a while.
Good.
30.
30.
Like
yeah.
the oldest dog in the world, right?
Yeah.
Not your oldest dog.
Yeah. Damn, Sabrina, you're good at raising dogs. Yeah. All right. What's going on in this movie here? She's about to shoot her brother in the arm.
Yeah, with a shotgun from point blank range, and somehow she doesn't really get him.
Yeah.
You know, like this is. I would think a sawed-off shotgun from 3 feet away would probably do a lot more damage than it does in this case.
Watching this muted, I'm a lot more conscious of all the Raimi camera work that they do.
A lot of zooms,
Yeah.
a lot of fast push-ins.
When I watched this last night, I wasn't too conscious of that.
Canted angles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about this. For Sabrina's sake, what are some of the homages and the connective tissue between this movie and the other ones? Like, all the callbacks.
I'm pretty sure they put him in a blue shirt because Ash wears a blue shirt.
Yeah, they do kind of dress them similarly, and the relationships are similar. It's two guys and their girlfriends and one of the guy's sisters.
What if they had the Kool-Aid man barge in right after she does the puking in the
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
The puking blood, like the massive fountain of unrealistic amount of puking blood, is from them. The shotguns and the chainsaws are the main weapons.
The car in the beginning, she's sitting on the car when she's first introduced, which
Yeah.
is like the Sam Raimi staple. He always has that car.
That basement door is the same.
Yeah, is the layout of the house exactly the same?
It seems very similar.
Yeah.
It looks like this house might be a little bigger.
Yeah.
And aren't the leads in the original brother and sister also? Isn't that a thing that tracks through?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't
But not in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, they are in the
There's a brother and sister.
original
But not in
movie.
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, it's her and her sister and his sister is like an artist. She's sketching in the first one, and this girl sketching at the beginning
necklace
of this.
has a magnifying glass. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the necklace is sort of similar. In the first one, it's a magnifying glass, and this one is just sort of a circle.
Yeah, and it's kind of used to the same degree where like the necklace is a reminder of
pointless.
Like the humanity, but also pointless.
Yeah.
There was some other ones.
The Necronomicon.
The
book.
Oh, right, the
Necronomicon.
book.
And also the basement is full of creepy shit in the first one
Yeah,
that they go down and investigate.
You know what I was going to say
Is
earlier?
it explained in the first one?
The Necronomicon, yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is actually.
What I was going to say earlier is I feel like what we missed out on in this one is like the Necronomicon in the original, it's like discovered by some, archaeologist or whatever.
In the second one.
Yeah, or something like that. But then there's old audio tapes of like some old guy like reading from the book. And he's like, "This looks like a book about the dead or something. I
Oh,
probably
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
read this, but what it says here is blah 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 blah." And then it's like on that old audio tape, and they're listening to it, and they're like, "Oh man, I don't think we should listen to this."
We definitely shouldn't repeat what this guy's saying.
Yeah. I feel like they did that in the original because they couldn't comprehend or they couldn't fathom that like a teenager would find this book and know how to pronounce the words. So they're like, oh, we have to have a recording of some guy reading it. And then in this movie, they're just like, yeah, he just reads it.
Well, in the original one, wasn't the language like ancient Sumerian or something?
Yeah,
And
but
then,
in this one also, the book has been like sort of modified and translated and
Cliff notes.
doctored up. Yeah, people are annotating that book pretty heavily, sometimes in blood.
This part right here we're watching right now where Jessica Lucas pees herself and like gets stopped.
she's dehydrated, dude.
Yeah.
Get some water, lady.
Damn, yeah. It's like I don't know what.
Like the color and
lemonade.
the color and texture of honey.
I thought that was pretty scary, and she did a good job of like just walking across a room and then stopping and dropping everything, and like the way they kind of do that scene.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Go Canada.
Go Canada.
Right?
Also, being buried alive is kind of or being buried and then coming out of the grave is sort of a
that's
recurring theme in all of these.
Oh, and then of course the ending when she puts the chainsaw in her hand.
Right.
Oh, the
Yeah.
way
Right.
the way the evil like runs around the woods and like looking for somebody.
Oh, and when he goes in, he's got his plan to like bury his sister and resurrect her, and he sort of sets up. He like goes with like the duct tape and all the parts in the garage and sort of A-teams together a random thing. That's kind of like how Bruce Campbell's always like making his own weapons.
and the
shit.
chainsaw, the chainsaws.
The chainsaw, the tree rape we already mentioned too. Yeah, the house itself like just looks exactly like the house from the first. It's got like the swing on the porch in the front too. Yeah, I feel like there's a couple more, but also like I think for what this movie is, they could have afforded to like have a couple more throwbacks to the original. Like it's so far removed in its tone and its like purpose that I think like it would have been nicer for the audience to have a couple more winks. Like they could have done like kept it in the same universe where like, you know, they find the book and then they find like it would have been cool if they found Bruce Campbell's like recording or something, you know, like or pictures of the people from the first movie. I don't know. Do you think that would be cooler if they connected this more? Like the people who were in this house before them were the people from the old movie, or is it cooler this way, where it's just like
it's like, oh, this is my uncle's place, and it's like the picture of Bruce Campbell on
yeah,
the wall.
yeah.
I don't know. Cool. It would probably. I don't know if it would fit with like the super serious tone that they're going for here to have references to the other movies because they're so goofy.
Yeah, it's so different.
But also,
here's a picture of when my uncle came back through the portal from medieval times.
Or like they could have had shopping bags from like S-Mart or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Keeping it in the universe. Yeah, this part was pretty fucked up too. She's like stabbing him repeatedly with the syringe. Yeah.
I guess I have a question for you guys who like gore and horror. So for me, the fact that like a lot of these sexy teens were personalityless and faceless just made everything less scary. Like I didn't give it, like it just felt like, oh, okay, she's being killed off in a gory way, and then it's just one less person on the call sheet. But like had she had a personality or an emotion, then I would have cared about it more. But is it a trope of the genre in gore that you need just a bunch of bodies and just the fun is in the ways in which that they die, as opposed to like any kind of sentiment about their death?
That's a really good
I think the blonde girl is like the worst offender of this. Like she's like really doesn't even say anything.
You forget she's in the movie until she turns into a monster and they have to kill her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sabrina. You never want to start a horror movie with only like 3 characters, because then you're like, oh, we're only going to get 2 people dead. That's actually the second Evil Dead movie starts off with just the guy and his girlfriend going to the cabin, but then they introduce all these other characters just so they can kill him off. But I think ideally you'd want people to care about. I think it's always worse when you care about the characters, but also that isn't the priority clearly, because you just kind of want to have the meat for the.
Yeah, I feel like it can go the other way too, though. Like I know in some of the Friday the 13th movies, they just have so many characters that you're like, okay, well, what's the point of this? And then they start dying in really like inventive ways, and you're like, oh, that's what this is. Like they're just having them there as like fodder for like Jason to, stab them with a pitchfork while they're having sex in a sleeping bag, or like, or like,
kill him with a big pole through the outhouse or whatever that one was. Yeah. So this is sort of splitting the difference, but they definitely should have tried to make these characters a little less generic. But that's, I think, again, one of the failings of this particular movie, is that they don't really pull it off. Even for like, I mean, one of my big problems with this movie and a lot of these movies is like, it shouldn't. It feels like in this movie, as in many of these, that the whole point is, here are some people, and we're just going to find terrible things to do to everyone. And that I don't find appealing. Like, the most interesting, engaging part of this is this idea that, like, he's failed his sister, and now he's got to kill her to, set her free or help her or whatever. And that's, like, an interesting emotional dynamic, and they don't really pull that off, and that would be far more... I don't know. I think that would be far more compelling than just, here are some humans and we're just going to make them feel pain and you're going to watch.
Yeah.
What was the relationship with the sister before this?
I do like that they kind of actually do bring it up. Maybe you didn't get that far, but they kind of eventually reveal that their mother died in a mental institution and she went crazy, and the brother left her with
the brother just bailed as soon as he was old enough and left her being raised by this crazy person who just got crazier and crazier.
Yeah. I felt like they took all the backstory and gave it to that one, Mia, the lead girl. It was such a hat on a hat, because it was like, okay, first her mom is struggling with mental health, then the mom dies and nobody was there and she was the only one there. Then she's a drug addict, then she has a bunch of ODs, then she almost died, then her brother bailed on her. Like, I feel like it could have been just fine if she was struggling with drug addiction and her brother bailed on her. I feel like it would have been enough.
Yeah, that's a lot of hats.
Meanwhile, what we know about this blonde girl is she maybe chose to come here.
She's a human.
Yeah, and blonde. That's I would say the one thing that they did right that I was worried the first time I saw this that they weren't going to do right is the character that you feel the most sympathy for is this drug addict girl who seems like she's had just all the worst things happen in her life. And then when she gets contaminated with the evil, you're like, oh, she's fucked. And then meanwhile, this guy with this lacrosse bro face is somehow the guy I'm supposed to be cheering for and hoping he survives. And I'm glad that they were like, nope, it's not going to be him. Don't worry. We're going to, save the girl and kill the guy that we probably don't like, even though I think we're supposed to.
And a lot of okay, so I feel like when you make a movie like this and you make the deaths really gory and stuff, like part of it is the excitement, if that's the right word. I don't know, like people go to movies like this to see people die, like in horrible ways, But like even the deaths in this, for as gory as they are, everyone kind of like just eventually kind of peters out, like no one's head explodes, no one's like guts blow out of their body, like. People get shot with nail guns and then like say their final line and then they kind of just like die. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the deaths are kind of eventual. They're not like immediate. Which I
maybe that's
weird,
part of the keeping it grounded thing, because they don't want to go too over the top, but that's like what you're looking for, especially in an Evil Dead movie. You kind of want the head to explode at some point.
Yeah.
And their idea of that is like cutting limbs off, but they're going to make it really realistic. And I don't know, it's just very...
Also, like in general, like aside from movies, even like it is scary to think of like suffering a lot.
Exactly.
Like, and not just dying. Like, yeah, I'm afraid of dying, but I'm also afraid of like suffering a lot up until the point of dying.
Yeah. I think like that's one of the things is when I think about this, in terms of or did they pull off the realism aspect? I would think most of what these people go through, I would stop trying to survive. I'd be like, no, this isn't worth it. I'm out.
You find even one dead cat in a basement, much less 20 dead cats. Why don't you just get on Airbnb? Like,
I stayed in Airbnb in Hawaii, and we found a centipede, and I was ready to like call it. It's alive, and I want to leave.
Yeah, for real.
All right, what do you say? I actually think Sabrina would be really good at top four.
Okay,
she's a person. If I'm not
let's
mistaken,
do Shiloh Fernandez's top four, because we're all gonna have like so many guesses that aren't just this movie.
This will be great.
There's nobody in this movie that we can do a top four with. I swear they all are just in some TV shit. Think of something.
Even Jane Levi.
Oh man,
we already named like her.
The image that comes up when you Google Shiloh Fernandez is like way more punchable than like.
Oh yeah, he's just like, please punch me in my stupid smarmy face.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay. So maybe we'll pull a connection.
Let's pull a random somebody. Who could we do?
Who's like tangentially?
Wait, we're not doing Shiloh Fernandez?
No,
or Lou Taylor Pucci? Come on. We already named two of his similar sounding movies.
Thumbsucker. And when I looked him up, I could only find Thumbsucker and not the other one, the Chud Blucker or whatever.
Chud Blucker.
No, Chud Blucker comes out next year. That's
Fuddruckers.
Fuddruckers, the movie.
Get that 1 pound hamburger over there. So who are we doing? Who are we playing the game with?
Great question. We've done Sam Raimi, right?
Let's do
Freddy Alvarez. No?
Let's do in honor of Gene Levy. Let's do Eugene Levy.
That's really good.
Her dad.
Yeah, her dad, Eugene Levy. Pronounce the names differently, but I'm sure they're closely related.
That's a good idea. All right, I've got it queued up here. Who's first?
So Sabrina, here's how we play top four. We are going to take turns guessing one name at a time, but we're trying to guess. When you go on IMDb and you look up an actor and it has like the four
known for.
They're known for movies.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason for it.
It's not their highest grossing movies. It's not their most popular movies. It's not their highest rated movies. We don't know why IMDb chooses these four movies, but that's what makes this game ridiculous.
Dope.
So since you're our guest, you get to guess the first Eugene Levy movie.
Wait, should we ask? Is there a TV show in his top four?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
You have to guess and get it right or wrong.
All right.
As a proud Canadian, I'm going to say Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek is incorrect, but great guess.
Wrong. That's a good guess.
And now I will tell you it's all movies.
Okay. I will go with American Pie.
American Pie is correct.
That is correct.
Playing Jim's dad.
Wow. I will say, what's that one? It's the
No, I'm not going to give you any hints. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're trying to think of.
yeah, it's the dog
Yeah.
show.
You're
one.
trying to think of Christopher Guest movies.
Oh.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Yep.
I'm hoping one of you guesses a movie that is for sure not on here, but I'll be like really stoked if you guess it.
I think my second guess is going to be a throwaway. Just
I can't think of the name of the dog show. Is it called Dog Show? No, that's not.
No.
It. It's. I'll just say Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman is correct.
Yes.
Mhm. I
Hail to
know
the
what the
king,
name of
baby.
the dog movie. Ooh, sound effects. Dope. I know what the dog movie is, but I don't want to name that one. I want to name the classic Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen movie, New York Minute.
New York Minute is incorrect.
Wow.
You
Good
did the
guess.
right thing. What you did the right thing, but
you really did.
you did the wrong thing, but you did the right thing.
And in a similar vein, I'm going to let Matt struggle trying to think of the dog show movie.
Damn it.
And I'm going to go with Armed and Dangerous.
Oh no, that's incorrect.
Wrong.
That's not what I was wanting you to guess.
I can't read your mind.
I really want someone to guess Medea's Witness Protection. I'm not gonna do it.
I'm gonna say. I'll say A Mighty Wind.
A Mighty Wind is correct.
Yes.
That is correct.
I'm going to say the seminal classic Queen Latifah movie, Bringing Down the House.
Oh, Bringing Down the House is incorrect. But again, you're doing the right thing.
Well, I'll go with Best in Show.
Best in Show is correct.
Oh.
That's all.
That's the one.
That is correct.
So it's three Christopher Guest movies.
Yep.
And One American Pie.
Yeah, an American Pie. I'm surprised A Mighty Wind. A Mighty Wind's kind of a more of a deep cut for
Yeah.
the Christopher Guest movies. But I do love A Mighty Wind. It's really good.
It
And
is
he's
good.
really, really good in it
Yep.
too.
It's a deep cut, but having said that, it's a great and popular, well-known movie that I love.
What's with that one character? He's like, "What happened?"
So yeah, that was top four. That was quick. Do we want to do? We're kind of at a loss of people to do.
Queen Latifah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Queen Latifah. Sure.
Queen Latifah top four.
This is gonna be fun. Hold on.
Oh God, I'm struggling to think of any Queen Latifah movies other than the ones we've just mentioned.
I know what I would
They
guess.
could be. It could be one of the ones we just the one that we just mentioned. That could be on there.
Mhm.
Could also be a TV show or two.
Yep.
All right. Ooh. Oh wow. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay. I'm ready.
All right, Sabrina, you're up.
Yes, I will say. Why am I struggling to find? I love Queen Latifah. Why am I struggling to find? Last Holiday.
Last Holiday is incorrect.
Wrong.
I'm gonna go with Chicago.
Chicago is correct.
That is correct.
I'm gonna say. God, I know stuff that she's in. I'm just blanking. It's too early for me. What the hell is she in? Oh. No. What's the one we just said? Bringing Down the House? Is that a movie?
Yes, Bringing Down the House is correct.
Yes.
Wow.
That
Way.
is correct.
That was a pretty. You could have gone bolder. You could have made a real guess.
Yeah, I know. I don't have a real guess. That's the problem. So what? How many did we get so far?
Two.
Bringing Down the House, and what was the other one?
Chicago.
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 Are we on the hint round yet? Or?
Yes, please.
Okay.
The second round is
Yeah.
Another one of these is a musical, and
Okay.
And it's only movies?
if I tell you,
Oh, I think I might have one.
if I tell you the fourth one, if I tell you who the co-star is in the fourth one, you'll get it.
Oh,
Like,
wait, is
immediately.
Hairspray one of them?
Hairspray is correct.
That
Nice
is
job.
correct.
It's also your turn, so you got the points.
Wow.
Oh, might be. Okay.
Wow. It's Harris's turn, right?
Yes. And that was obviously the clue that you gave. So do
Yeah.
we need another clue?
All right, this one's from 2004.
Man, the years
That's
do not help
Harris's
me.
least favorite
Yeah.
clue. Let me hold on. Oh, this movie has Giselle Bundchen.
Oh,
What?
I know it.
Oh shit!
You know it?
And I'm just gonna guess Living Single and let Matt get it.
Living Single is incorrect. This is the one. This movie is the one I would have guessed if I was playing.
It's is it the one that's a remake of a French movie called Taxi or something? Is that what it is?
What is your
I
guess?
forget the American name of the movie. I think it's like
Could be Taxi.
It could be Taxi. I'll say that, sure.
Taxi is correct.
Yes.
That
Stars.
is correct.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon. It is a remake of a very popular
Yeah.
series of French movies.
It's tough to say though.
Yeah, they're great movies.
I do think Fever Pitch is a better Jimmy Fallon movie, but I don't.
Should we do Jimmy Fallon?
Yes, let's do Jimmy Fallon. Let's do Jimmy Fallon.
He's probably only in 4 movies, if that.
I just want to read what they are, and we'll decide after.
I feel like that would be like I've never seen this Taxi movie.
Was that the 4th Queen? We got all 4 Queen Latifahs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was all 4. The 4 were Chicago, Hairspray, Bringing Down the House, and the Jimmy Fallon vehicle.
Is she in
Taxi.
a bank robbery movie with like her?
Yes, Set It Up.
Set it off. Set it off.
Yeah.
Set
Right.
it off, yeah.
Set It Off. Set It Off. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, that's the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I think my version of hell might be just watching
Jimmy Fallon
movies.
And is Queen Latifah in something with Steve Martin?
Where's this known for?
Yep,
That's
she's-
Bringing Down the House.
Oh, that is Bringing Down the House. Okay, I thought so.
That was your
Okay.
guess.
There's layers to that movie.
I thought Bringing Down the House was the one with.
There's 2 layers. There's a Queen Latifah layer and a Steve Martin layer.
Yeah. What's the one she's in with Eugene Levy?
It's Bringing Down the
Also
House.
Bringing Down
Also.
See, another layer. Another
Oh,
layer.
3
my
layers.
God. Oh my god.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon's is not good. It's of course Fever Pitch and of course Taxi, and then
Almost Famous.
and then it's The Tonight Show and Late Night.
Oh, that sucks.
Wait, he's in Almost Famous?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
he's
Yeah,
like
he's in
is a small part.
Nail guns don't shoot.
I was just gonna
It's-
say this. This is my biggest bone of contention with this movie is that nail guns do not work like this.
Yeah. If anybody's ever used a nail gun, you got to press the front really hard to get the nail to go in. Although I've never tried to like
Shoot someone with one?
No, I've never tried to like
remove the.
No, I've definitely done that.
if you could compress the little safety mechanism on the front and somehow keep it like pushed in, I guess you could try to shoot it. I don't know how far they'd go or how accurate they'd be, but I bet you could, in theory, rig a nail gun.
Oh
to
yeah,
shoot.
you can break the safety part off.
But it's the safety part's usually like a push-in mechanism.
Yeah,
so
you can
have
like
to be
break it to like make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be cool if they showed that. Like if she just rips the front of it off, and you kind of get that she.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I
Rigged
wanted
it.
to say this before we started talking about nail guns. Why doesn't Jimmy Fallon have a pet bird named Jimmy Talon?
Wow.
Well, you got to be faster on the sad trombone thing, Matt.
Yeah, I lost it here. Come on, we got
We'll wait.
Like anytime Colin starts talking,
Just
like
cue
seizes,
my hand.
Yeah, anytime he seizes the floor and is like, yeah, and another thing, just be ready.
If they're good though, if you ever say a good one, I'll do one of these.
yeah. So
Hope to hear that someday.
yeah. That's the last time we'll be hearing that sound effect.
I've already forgotten it. Yeah. This movie
Now we're at
is
the crowbar beating.
pretty violent. Also, another thing I don't like about this movie, and I'm realizing now, 10 years later, that it's like sort of a victim of the times. The way it's color graded, it's so like muddy and muted looking. I'm sure they might have done this to tone down the blood a little bit, but God, it looks awful.
Yellow and brown. A lot of yellow and brown.
I watched like a ripped version, and it was like particularly muddy looking. But now I'm watching it on Colin's like 70-inch TV, and it still doesn't look great. It's like this color grade was used on like every horror remake of that period.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I thought of Jeepers Creepers. I feel like Jeepers Creepers was like the original of this color grade.
It could be
Yeah. By the way, this guy takes more punishment.
than anyone else.
Then
Well, he did kind of. It's all his fault. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
But he takes like a ridiculous amount of punishment and then is able to like save the day at the end when he comes into the basement and conks what's her name on the head. Like I feel like if you're gonna be like even remotely realistic, you can't like break every bone in the guy's body and then be like, oh yeah, but then he somehow crawls from the outside back.
He's
into
held together by screws though, by nails.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And see, this girl gets her arms. She's already lost one arm, and now her other arm is blown off, and she just kind of like whimpers and then dies in his lap. Like I wanted him to blow her head off right here, you know?
Yeah. Well, I guess this is like I think what they're trying to do is like, you know, because she's now dismembered, so that's what breaks the curse.
Oh, I guess so.
And so now she is like, so instead of like the fake out where she's pretending to be normal and then she's bad, which is what we're expecting, it's just like, what if she just got normal again and was like, what the hell's going on? Why did you shoot all my arms off? And,
yeah.
You know,
why do I have nails in my face?
Why do I have nails in my face?
She's less dangerous now that she's unarmed.
Which is...
Exactly. Yeah, that's why the demons leave the body, because they can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, it's horrific in concept, but it's not really what you want from an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah. They did a good job chaining up that door, though. It looks good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the solid.
Yeah, nobody's getting
through
there.
Very symmetrical. Great job.
Yeah, I feel like if you were just chaining up a door on the fly like that, you probably would just...
It would just be all willy-nilly. Like
Yeah.
the lines wouldn't be straight and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any experience with like chaining up
Chaining somebody into a basement
hatch?
trapdoor? Yeah. No, actually. Not
Sabrina,
yet.
you
Not
know?
yet.
Sabrina, that's big in Canada, right?
Yeah,
A lot of resurrecting of the dead over there.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Not much else to do.
What part of Canada are you in again?
I'm in the French part in Quebec,
Ah, the
in the
French
East
part.
Coast. Yes.
The poutine part.
Yes, exactly.
Are you one of the Québécois? Is that how you say it?
Yes, that's exactly how you say it. Yeah.
Is that you? Are you? Do you identify as that?
Not really. We like immigrated to Canada when I was like about 10, so I don't fully feel Quebecois, but technically, yeah, I guess I would be.
Okay, that's cool. Wait, do you speak French?
I do. Yes, French is my first language.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's actually been speaking French this whole time.
Oh, yeah, it turns out, Colin, you speak French too.
The mixer does like a quick translation.
I can do the laugh, but they hate that. French people hate that. I fucking hate that shit.
You can laugh in French.
That's not how we talk. We do not laugh like that.
I just picture Colin like on a trip to France and like someone asking him like, "Parlez-vous français?" And he's like, "Oh, I can only do the laugh." Oh. They just like glare at him.
You are offensive.
That's why you're why they hate America.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's what they say about a lot of countries. It's like, I'm why they hate us. No, not really.
There was that UN resolution that mentioned you by name.
This might be a good time
It's
to
definitely a good time to not talk about the movie more.
yeah. What, Colin? Why
Where are
don't
they
you
getting all this gasoline?
Yeah,
I know there's
seriously.
gas everywhere here.
They have been setting it up throughout the movie. Like you see a gas can in almost every shot.
Yeah, that doesn't really count as like an explanation. If you're just
Right.
like, well, we're gonna need like 80 gallons of gas in this movie, so make sure there's gas cans in every single scene.
I still don't get why they have electricity and like power and like, was the heater for the water heater, was that a gas heater? Is there a gas line underneath that basement?
Maybe there's a
underneath
generator somewhere.
Okay. Wait, what were we gonna do now?
I was gonna see if you wanted to reveal what our next franchise is.
Oh,
Ooh.
oh, right. I'm confused because we've maybe already recorded one of them.
Quiet, you.
You're ruining the illusion.
My bad. Yeah, no, I always maintain that we've been shrunken down inside of your car stereo and we're in there talking to you.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, we're live.
We're live. Our next franchise is a movie that just takes all the clothes off because it's The Naked Gun.
Oh shit!
Dope.
Good
The
choice.
Naked Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. It's a nice, quick franchise. 3 movies. We're in. We're out.
And
I have
guess
no
what?
idea how to connect it to this. Okay. Yes.
And guess what? Leslie Nielsen is Canadian.
Oh,
my God.
yes.
That's how you connect it.
Finally.
Even though this isn't Canadian at all. Yeah, we're excited. We like doing comedies. We did the vacation movies. And now we're gonna do Naked Gun.
Nice. They're doing a reboot, right?
Yeah.
So they say.
Yeah.
They've been saying it for years. I hear that it is like getting closer to actually happening. But we'll see. Only time will tell.
Well, they finally got the Fletch remake off the ground.
That's true.
Did anybody see that?
No, because I don't think that movie actually came out.
It came out.
Yeah,
it did.
but not really.
Yeah. I mean, no, it exists. It's a real thing.
It has John Hamm.
Let's do John Hamm top 4.
Oh shit!
Why doesn't he have a pet pig if we're talking about like celebrities with pets?
They did a SNL sketch where he has his own line of
Hams.
John. It like ham that it like comes out like a toilet paper dispenser.
Yeah.
So it's like ham that you're meant to eat on the John Hams. John Ham.
That's beautiful.
John Ham.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. They also did Peter SARS guards. Like he actually made a mask that you wear. Yeah,
That's
to
pretty
prevent
good.
getting SARS. Yeah, pretty clever. Yeah,
Wordplay.
yes.
That's how you do it, Colin.
Love that stuff. Yeah, Naked Gun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna talk about how it's got jokes and Ricardo Montalban and
Sabrina, where do you stand on the Naked Gun series? And more specifically, where do you stand on O.J. Simpson, the actor? Not the football player, and certainly not the potential possible double murderer.
Alleged.
Yeah.
Pass. Can I pass? over that?
Yes.
That is the correct answer.
I think that it's kind of a travesty to do a reboot without Leslie Nielsen.
I thought you were going to say without O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta have him in it, right?
I mean, he's available from what I understand.
He could use the money. I think his cameo is only like $100 or something. So, like, jump on that.
Oh,
He's
God.
on Cameo. Oh God.
Is he really on Cameo?
yeah,
I think
is
he
that-
might be.
is
That might be
factual?
like my birthday gift for everyone I know.
That's horrible.
Every year, it's a greeting from O.J. Simpson.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Think of how fucked up that would be if you did that for someone.
I actually would kind of appreciate it a little bit. I mean, there's like a moral implication of putting money in OJ's pocket, but then there's the other thing of just like how ridiculous would that be?
But now, for Cameo, whatever you write, they have to say, right?
I don't know if they have to. I think they can not do stuff, but that was one of the things.
Oh my God, I would write so many like murder puns.
Oh my god.
Oh God. Hey, I'm not the best at these birthday greetings, but I'll take a stab at it.
Oh fuck.
Oh God. Oh my God. Yeah. Naked Gun should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Evil Dead. We're winding down here. This is our, even though we will cover another Evil Dead movie in about a month when it comes out. Let's reflect on this franchise, and it really is a 3-movie franchise, and then this 4th movie kind of is the beginning of a.
And the TV show, which is tonally more similar to the second movie than anything else.
Yeah,
and that's why this remake is a little more perplexing. Now, having seen the original, I kind of understand what they were going for, but having also seen the TV show since the first time I saw this, it's just very strange that this is like the one kind of straightforward, serious one after they had learned that the whole franchise is built around kind of ridiculousness.
And what's weird is the new one that's coming out, which is called Evil Dead Rise, is not really a sequel to this, as far as I can see, unless they're keeping that secret. It's more of like its own thing. It's almost like a new reboot, but rather than do the cabin in the woods thing, they're doing something completely different.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's an interesting way to I love this for like franchises and stuff when they get a new director and he takes it in a different direction. So that might, it's a different director, and that might be kind of what they're doing is like, Fede Alvarez did his version, which was kind of a straight up horror film, and then this person's going to maybe do something a little different. And
Well, I think what happened was I believe I heard the original script was called Evil Bread Rise, and it was about aging
A bakery.
dough. Yeah,
very very yeast centered.
Where did he get this red dress from? Did I miss that?
The closet.
Yeah. There's like so much stuff in this house that there's no explanation why it's there. I could see them making Evil Bread Rise though, because gluten is just so demonized.
True. In today's world, it really is the undead of
food
this world. Yeah,
of the whole world.
Of the whole world. Gluten.
When I think about evil, I think about I don't know, maybe Satan, but I think about gluten first.
You notice how gluten kind of sounds like Satan? They both end in N. Let's acknowledge this coincidence.
A little bit of a reach.
Yeah, it's kind of a slant rhyme. Yeah.
I accept what you're saying.
Yeah, I think I'm onto something.
Yeah.
So his plan here is to bury her alive until she dies.
Yeah, let's watch the scene again because I've seen this twice now, and I
Still
haven't
don't understand
seen
it.
her buried or die.
It doesn't matter how many times you see it. It's never going to make sense.
But it was still my favorite part
Yeah.
because it was the only part that had any kind of approximation of emotion.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I needed that. I needed a little emotion in my movies.
Also, it is a cool effect. Like her head is in a bag, but you're not seeing her breathe. Like you're not seeing the bag move in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She looks scary. It looks like her head is decapitated, even though it's not.
Because he's buried everything but her head.
Yeah.
And his plan is, because they read in the book that the only way to kill the evil is through dismemberment, fire, and being buried alive. And so he was going to burn her, but then they get her out of the basement and he buries her alive. And his plan is to bury her alive, wait till she's dead, then the evil's out of her, then dig her up and resurrect her using his like homemade defibrillator. Yeah, where he's got like a car battery and jumper cables and adrenaline shots, I guess.
Yeah, like for their intervention, they brought like a lot of like medical stuff. Like how many syringes do you need for one intervention?
Yeah. So he's buried her now.
I feel like sometimes it's zero,
that he's buried.
But whatever.
I think both times I like zoned out at this part. Okay, the fire goes out.
Yeah, it's a good part to fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he thinks the evil's gone because he just realized it?
Because the fire went out.
Okay.
I guess.
Was it on this show that we talked about how digging graves in movies is always so unrealistic?
We have talked about like how
it would take him all day to do
I think
this.
my specific question was, have any of you ever actually dug a grave? Because I haven't, but I've had to dig like a hole before, and digging like a tiny hole is a real pain in the ass, especially if the ground is hard, if it's cold out or anything. It's the worst.
Digging holes is real hard.
Yep.
The other day I was like out of breath and Colleen was like, why are you out of breath? And I was like, I just had to do a whole lot of bending down to pick up Maya's toys. Like, yeah. She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, it was rough. So I would not be able to dig a hole. Probably.
So I guess this should be maybe a question that we ask all of our guests. Sabrina, have you ever dug a grave?
In Canada, the ground is like frozen. It's impossible. They don't bury their dead up there. They just burn them.
We put them on a ship and then we shoot an arrow at
Viking
the ship.
funerals. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I have a question about Canada. Have you ever seen the movie The Strange Brew? It's with Rick Moranis and
everyone in Canada has to see
it's
that
a
movie,
rite of passage.
Right? Yeah. Do you know what movie I'm talking about? Are you familiar with it?
No, I haven't. I'm French Canadian, so we're like kooky Canadians.
Yeah, but okay. Have you seen Canadian Bacon with John Candy?
That one I have. Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie so much.
Was it the Mackenzie brothers? Is that Strange Brew?
Yeah, but yeah, Strange Brew is Bob and
Dave
Doug
Thomas.
McKenzie. Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Do you know who directed Canadian Bacon?
Yeah, Michael Moore.
Michael Moore.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like his only narrative. Yeah.
Because he was like nailed it.
Yeah.
Already. This is about as good as it's gonna get.
It's really good.
Nowhere to go but down.
Oh, do you get offended if people say Canadian beer sucks?
No.
Oh.
She didn't invent it.
Yeah.
In Canadian Bacon, they're at a hockey game, and he's like, "Yeah, their beer sucks too," and then they're like a whole riot starts.
See, I feel like that the most unrealistic thing about that is I think if you said that, Canadians wouldn't be insecure enough to be. They'd be like, "What are you talking about? You're wrong."
What are you talking about?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I mean, my biggest beef with Canada is that they unloaded Ryan Reynolds onto America.
Oh my god,
that's such a Ryan Reynolds problem.
They said, "Here, you take him."
That's fair enough.
Jim Carrey. They gave us Jim Carrey.
That's right, and Shatner.
Yeah, we
as
gave
well,
you a lot of very cool things.
Yeah, a lot of good things.
For every like 3 Jim Carreys, there's one Ryan Reynolds though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Canadian Bacon itself is kind of it's just fat.
The Ryan Reynolds
the food.
of
That comes from the British people.
It's just ham.
Yeah, it's just thick ham.
Yeah, it's just thick ham.
You got my hopes up when you say bacon, and I'm like, ooh, bacon, and it's just thick ham.
Yeah, but when that thick ham is done right, it's pretty banging.
I'm not objecting to thick ham. I'm just saying that like if you introduce it as bacon, I'm expecting something better.
It's
okay.
true.
See, in Canada, it's not called Canadian bacon. It's called pea meal.
Yeah, that's why you guys like it more.
You guys. Yeah, you guys.
Yeah. So it's our fault. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Somebody who translated that really let us down by just getting our hopes up a little too high.
Yeah, a lot of American food is named after like other cultures that it's not accurately like French fries and what's the other one? There's another French.
Hamburger from the city of Hamburg, Frankfurters from the city of Frankfurt.
Yep.
Chinese food.
Yep.
Which is all invented in San Francisco.
Did you know that in China, fortune cookies are called American cookies?
Oh, that's cool.
That makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah, this all checks out.
Yeah.
I want a fortune cookie right now. I need like that. I need like a little piece of paper that tells me something good's gonna happen.
Sabrina, since we're like nearing the end of this movie, do you remember when we saw it at that screening that it was like an unfinished copy of the movie? And during this final bit when she chainsaws the demon was not there, and it was just a shot of like a pipe blasting her in the face with blood. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think I blocked out a lot of that movie when I watched it.
Actually, she had her eyes closed for that whole sequence.
Probably.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Watching it this time, I was like watching the demon and like looking for like the CGI-ness of it, because I know that she wasn't really there, and that it was just her holding a chainsaw like near a pipe that was just blasting her with blood. Yeah.
Did they make his nose bigger? Oh, they like swelled up his face or something. Okay, that guy looks super weird. You can't shoot gasoline to make an okay, whatever.
Yeah. You know, and that's funny. I was sitting here and I was like, how does the brother die? I forget his death, but now it's all coming back to me.
That gasoline was in a plastic container, so you can't even say like the sparks.
Yeah, it would have made more sense to put it in a metal container. Plus, that metal container would have looked older.
Yeah, which we don't know how and why this place exists still.
It's just a movie thing that if you shoot a gas tank,
if you shoot anything, if you shoot a bullet into anything with gasoline in it, it explodes.
It's been proven that in the movie Jaws, like if you shot an oxygen tank like that, it would not explode enough to like,
of course not,
blow up a shark. But it's a great
movies.
movie.
Yeah, if it's well done, those things don't really matter.
Oh, what about evil sharks? What if the evil got out to the ocean?
That's a good pitch for when you direct an Evil Dead sequel.
Did you hear they want to do a sequel to Cocaine Bear and they call it Cocaine Shark?
Oh,
really?
yeah, nice.
Wow,
that'd be pretty great.
They want to do a whole cocaine animal franchise.
Jeez.
Colin saw Cocaine Bear.
I saw it already.
How was it? Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's like it's stupid, but it's like funny, fun, stupid.
Sorry, I just noticed that the necklace when she picks it up is in the shape of a skull, which is like a thing they did in the old
like
movies.
the chain of the necklace is like sort of in the shape of an outline of a skull, which is a classic Evil Dead thing.
So I didn't realize until I saw it that Cocaine Bear was directed by Elizabeth Banks, which is really cool. I want to see. Have you ever seen? Oh no, Matt's gonna hate this, but there's a Ryan Reynolds movie called Definitely Maybe that has Elizabeth Banks in it.
Oh yeah, Definitely Maybe.
Yeah.
Is she the love interest?
Terrible movie. There's 3 love interests.
Yeah, there's 3.
One
It's
of
like,
them.
it's like about Ryan Reynolds telling his daughter.
It's How I Met Your Mother, but in a movie form.
Yeah, it's kind of better, I guess. Yeah.
Is it anything like 2 guys, a girl, and a pizza place?
It's like the spiritual sequel of
Nothing will ever top that.
It's like 1 guy, 3
Well,
girls,
pepperoni.
and a little kid.
Sorry.
Give yourself a rim shot there, man.
Yeah. Nothing will ever top my pizza.
What do you want on your tombstone? Do they have tombstone pizzas in Canada?
Do they have tombstone pizzas here anymore? I think that's a defunct pizza.
Yeah, that was from the 90s, right?
I have no idea what that is.
It's a brand of like frozen
pizzas,
pizza.
Yeah, frozen pizzas.
Yeah, and then the commercials are always like, "What do you want on your tombstone?" And then he's like, "Pepperoni." Yeah. And then there was the Red Baron. Did they have the Red Baron in Canada?
No.
Oh, that's also another frozen pizza brand. I really know my frozen pizza.
Red Barons are like smaller. They make like the small personal pizzas.
They made both.
They
They
both,
did it all. The Baron did it all.
If I was gonna go frozen pizza, I was always a DiGiorno man myself.
Oh yeah, it's not delivery, but DiGiorno.
It's not delivery.
But DiGiorno didn't come out until like 96 or 98 or something like that. DiGiorno wasn't there before in the before times. There was a time before DiGiorno. Let me tell you about it. There was only Tombstone.
They call it pre-giorno.
Pre-giorno.
Yeah. Should we start?
Well, yeah. One last thing I want to say about this movie and this
BC
era
AD
of horror
after
films.
DiGiorno.
I feel like a big reason, and this could just be my weird personal opinion, but like I feel like a big reason why a lot of these horror remakes didn't work is because they kind of neutered them, like sexually. Yeah. There's like a part of the big appeal in horror movies from the 80s and 90s is that they were like sexy too. There's always like a sex element, you know. You would see boobs oftentimes in these movies, or like I don't know, like
Matt's biggest complaint with modern horror movies.
There's not enough boobs.
There's not enough boobs.
No, but I think culturally, I think that is like part of the reason. Like, who do these movies appeal to? Teenage boys, right? That's like the main audience for this, and like that's kind of like one of the reasons why you would watch horror movies. And now they're kind of missing the point a lot in today's, like, there's 3 like beautiful women and 2 good looking guys in this movie too. And
we
like
don't see any boobs or even a dong.
No dong.
No dongs.
Like, hello. I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird that they don't do that.
Oh, that would hurt so much. The blade went right through her kneecap. That would be incredibly painful and debilitating. Sabrina, how do you feel about the lack of boobs?
The desexualization.
No, I 100% agree with you, Matt. I think that to me, it also harkens back to like, there's a lack of theme in it kind of thing, where like, it felt a lot of 80s and 90s horror movies where like this idea of like hypersexuality, and then how it feels sometimes that like, I don't know, it's being attacked or whatever the fuck. Like it always has like a theme behind it. And then to me, that's why I was asking about the themes of these movies, because to me, this doesn't really have, like, what is the horror standing for other than just like, if you're in a creepy cabin with blood everywhere, run, you know what I mean? Like there's no
lesson to be learned. Like, say what you will about horror movies, but they kind of were trying to say like, if you are promiscuous, like this is what will happen to you, you know, like don't do this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe not a great lesson, but at least it had a grounding principle.
It's sort of a boomer lesson. It's like, you know, and that's, those movies were made by boomers, you know?
Exactly. 100%.
Oh.
And when I watch horror movies and I get really scared, I just think like, what if Buffy the Vampire Slayer showed up and killed everyone? And that's how I like feel better. For some reason, it makes me feel better. But like, Buffy was a great example of like, it was very light horror, but the demons, the blood, it always represented something bigger. And to me, that is like, the best horror is always about like the horrors of human existence and how you can like heighten them. And to me, that makes a good horror film. And I think like the Saws of this world and this just lack that, and therefore they're just very forgettable kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that like lended the original Evil Dead movies towards comedy more was that it's so straightforward. They're fighting against the evil, you know, and the evil is evil because it is evil, you know, like it just is a personified evil, rather than like, oh, what is evil, like what kind of things are we scared of that like we see as evil or good or whatever, you know, like it's not about that. It's just like the evil's after us.
And like, yeah, I've said earlier in this podcast, I think a lot of these horror remakes. Oh yeah, that is really gross.
That's not possible.
It's not possible, no. But it's so gross. She like literally rips her arm off, and just everything about it is
she
disgusting.
Would just pass out.
It's so bad
and probably die.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot
she
of
definitely wouldn't jam that very sensitive nub into a chainsaw handle.
No. A lot of these movies from this era are forgettable because they're kind of pointless, like is what we're saying. Whereas I feel like the recent like resurgence of horror movies is they're doing exactly what you're saying, Sabrina, where like now the Hereditaries and the Babadooks of recent times, and even what's the other one? It Follows. They're all about something. They're all they're getting into the territory of like mental issues and like dealing with, grief and like just like
they all have themes, and they're not even really subtle about them. The themes are right out there, but it does make you care a little more. I think if the Evil Dead movies had a theme, it was to mock the whole conventions of this genre that it kind of started, like after the first one, they're kind of just...
Yeah, I didn't see this part the first time. It is
this
so
effect is really
disgusting.
Cool though. Like her sinking
nasty.
into the...
Colin is really struggling watching the end of this movie for the first time. It is pretty gross.
Fucking
pretty bad.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are kind of like they're satires, and they're kind of like they're almost like scary movie level, mocking the conventions of this genre, which this is back to the first one being like a straight-laced, horror movie, but even without that sort of underlying grounding theme.
Yeah, in the first one, it's like, in the very first Evil Dead, it's like, if we go to this cabin to isolate ourselves, I guess like being isolated is scary, especially if you uncover.
Yeah, but a lot of the first one was just like, hey, we've got several $1,000s and we're trying to make a movie. What cool shit can we put in it? Like that.
Fair,
like it didn't really have I don't think it had that much thought beyond that.
But even that like simple idea of like, we're going to be isolated somewhere and that's scary. It's kind of lost in this movie because this movie is just being a remake.
Right.
Yeah, this movie is truly like its purpose is like literally a homework assignment. Hey, take this campy movie and make it serious. And that's what they did. But again, to what end? And yes, they achieved that, but did they achieve anything else of substance? I don't know.
I feel like you just said what my summary of my feelings on this movie are. I feel like I could just give my dolphin rating and go, but that's that's basically it. It's it's an unnecessary kind of empty and very well done, but very pointless film.
What's weird to me is that this movie, it has really it kind of feels like they went out of their way to make it different from the original movies, but also it is the thing that kind of like brought the team back together and got them to do the TV show, which came out shortly after this, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Which is connected to the original movies, and they did get Bruce Campbell back to like do something, whereas he notably didn't want to be in this movie.
Right. By the way, I think this closing credits stuff, which I'm sure they outsourced this to some company that does stuff like this, but I think this is really cool. This is like one of my favorite parts of the movie is these really dark, bloody, weird, gross, kind of abstract images.
It almost reminds me of like the opening of did you guys ever watch the show Dexter?
Yeah.
Like the opening theme to
that's
that.
great. Yeah, that's a great
so
one
good.
of the great TV openings.
The credits are sort of too cool for this movie kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. It's like we wish we had a more creative movie with these creative credits.
It's weird because this movie isn't bad. It's like they did a good job. They like made a movie that achieves whatever it is they were trying to do, but it's like
why is that what you were trying to do?
Exactly. But why is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I feel like we're all kind of on the same page of that. Like, obviously I think a lot of talented people made this and I think they succeeded at what they were aiming for. It's just, I don't understand what value this adds. It's
but
kind
why? Just like when in Naked Gun when he gets shot with the sleeping dart. Why?
Just a little preview of what's coming next on License to Watch podcast. Well, I think we've said everything that I had to say about my summary, so I'm not going to waste any more time, and I'll just give my Timothy Dolphin rating.
Go for it.
I give it 5 dolphins. I know that seems probably low for a movie that, like, we all agree is good, but I give it 5 Timothy Dolphins because it just isn't doing enough new.
Oh, what is this? I didn't see this scene.
Oh, this must be the director's cut
on Amazon.
Extra scene.
Oh, whoa! Hold the phone, everyone. This might be the scene that I
totally
read about.
Changes your rating.
Yeah. Oh, things are
looks like a dirty Chevy truck here. She's walking. She walked down the road and she passed out. Her hand nub is sticking out.
It's broad daylight. She's looking up. Some guy in a truck just pulled over.
It's not Bruce Campbell.
Oh, shit.
It's the tow truck driver from the second one. It's that guy that was in all the Sam Raimi movies.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, the random guy, except he's got his teeth in this.
And now she's in the car with him.
I'm taking you to the hospital, and they'll patch you up in no time.
There's a lot of stuff going on here.
You'll be right as rain. Yeah, nice dialogue.
Oh, now her eyes are going to be yellow or something.
Yeah,
it's got to be yellow eyes.
No surprise there.
No yellow eyes.
Just regular eyes.
Regular eyes. She is going to be okay.
What the hell?
That's crazy.
What was the point of that?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
But now I'm curious. Does this version have a different thing at the end of the credits?
I don't know.
I'm sure they
fast forward.
I'm sure they just have the same thing because
Amazon
really
thinks that I want to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark next.
I feel like Amazon's probably right about that.
All right.
Don't look at it.
I'll give my rating while we're fast forwarding here. kind of summed it up already that like this movie achieves its goal. Whether that goal was lofty or like too achievable, I don't know. But I mean, it's a totally good, forgettable romp. And for that, I too give this 5 Timothy Dolphins. So just to fill Sabrina in, our rating scale, it's called the Timothy Dolphin scale, and it's from 1 to 10.
It needs no explanation.
She said she listened to some of the other.
Oh, she did. She did listen to the other episodes, so she knows. Yeah. I don't know if she made it that deep into this.
She listened to like 5 minutes of some of the other episodes. Yeah. I'll go next. I'm also going to give it 5 Timothy Dolphins for all the same reasons that we've already said.
Great. We got 5s all around. Sabrina, are you going to change it? Oh, yeah, here's the same ending. It's Bruce Campbell raising his head and saying groovy.
Wow. Well lit.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Very weird.
Yeah.
They shot that in his closet.
Should we turn it back around?
Yeah, let's turn it back around. Sabrina, let's hear what your final thought on this movie is.
I suppose I would give it 3 Timothy Dolphins.
Wow.
Because I'm in a phase where I feel like if you have a chance to have a microphone, like say something with it, and when you say nothing, it's almost worse than saying something shitty.
Oh, don't say that on this podcast, please.
Yeah, we've basically spent several years saying nothing into microphones. It's kind of the grounding theme of our podcast.
But the reason I give it 3 is because like I'm not a gore fan and I'm not a horror fan, but I'm sure that like the third one you said, Army of Darkness, is that the one, like would be something that for a non-horror fan I would say sure, watch that because there's something fun to it, but here there's very little fun. So for a non-horror fan, I would only give it 3.
Yeah, if you don't like horror and you don't like gore, there's not a lot here for you in this movie.
There's nothing. There's Freddie Prinze Jr.'s little brother.
Yes. Is your shirt like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but
Oh,
like
it is,
as a comic book kind of? Okay, that's nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Uncle Phil looks like Kingpin though. Like
That's true. Yeah.
he's huge.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think that Mia, after going through the events of this movie, went straight back to cocaine or heroin or whatever it was she did?
100% yes.
Or she was like, I'm never going to touch it again. Like, was it a good rehab for her to face demons?
No, I think this pushed her into lifelong addiction.
She tries it one more time and she's just like, it's nothing compared to the evil.
That's her new addiction.
Yeah.
No,
She brings the book home with her.
Yeah.
I think this is the kind of thing that's like, you know what? Heroin was working great. The worst thing I ever did was try to kick heroin.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe that's the theme of this movie is like
Do
evil,
drugs.
evil is the best resource for drug users or something. I don't know.
No, it's the theme
Do
of the
drugs.
movie is like do drugs. That's it.
You're better off
It's
with
like
drugs.
your habits working just fine. Don't worry about it.
I love the part when they're having the intervention and she's like about to pour it down. She's like, I will never do whatever this is ever again. She like makes it abundantly clear that they're just not naming the drug.
Yeah.
I love that. The unrated version. Wow. The only difference was that scene at the end.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. Well, all right. That's it.
We've done it. We've completed the Evil Dead franchise.
For now. Sabrina, thank you for finally being able to do this. Are you coming to LA anytime soon?
Yeah, probably. I want to. It's just always TBD with me, but I'm hoping to come back soon, and I hope to hang out with you guys in person.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
We could record
another.
another episode maybe.
Yeah, if you want to spend some of your valuable time in LA recording another podcast, I think it would be
about it like that.
even better live.
Well, you know, it's funny. That's how this all began. I like emailed Sabrina and I was like, "Hey, are you coming to LA at any point in the next year?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think so." Like kind of the same answer she just gave. And I'm like, "All right, well, maybe when you're here, we could figure it out." And then the conversation kind of went like, "Okay, well, I guess we could do it via Zoom. We don't really like to do this anymore." But here we are, 2 years later. I bet you it's 2 years.
Wait until it's a little warmer here. Now it's hardly worth it at this current time.
Anywhere is warm compared to where I'm at. So
Yeah. It's like gonna get warmer in like next month.
So they say. So the groundhog told us.
It was snowing. I was driving through Pasadena and it was snowing the other day.
No.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But it was
That's
like
wild.
60 degrees and kind of sunny where I was, but I could see on the other side of the highway that it was snow. And then when I drove over that way, it was actually more like tiny hail.
I got tiny
Oh,
hailed on when
yeah.
I was walking the dog. Yeah,
Wow.
she was very confused.
Yeah. As are all the people that live in LA. Like, what is this?
The fuck is hail?
This rain is so weird.
It hurts.
Oh, you know what was weird? This is pointless. I'm sorry, but my friend.
Matt's got the sad trombone
Like
queued up.
in Texas, like you always gotta like have a cover over where you park your car because you never know when the hail's gonna come or whatever.
Yeah.
But his car on New Year's Eve, apparently somebody like shot a gun in the air because it was New Year's, and the bullet landed like on.
That's
the top
my
of
biggest fear.
The car.
That's your biggest fear of shooting a gun in the air?
No, anytime in movies when you see like a bunch of like a crowd and they're like, yeah, and they shoot their machine guns up in the air, I always think
those
like
bullets land somewhere.
yeah, someone's gonna die. No, stray bullets are like my biggest fear. Like that somewhere like right now a bullet is flying through the air. Someone like didn't aim it right. Like, if someone just shoots a gun in the air like this, it's eventually going to arc down and hit something.
If you shoot it straight up in the air, it's not going to keep going into space. Like it will fall back to Earth at some point
and kill something. If it hits you in the head, you will die.
Damage,
yeah,
yeah, it is scary. Public service announcement from License to Watch: look out for stray bullets.
Do not shoot your guns in the air, please.
Don't shoot your fucking gun in the air.
Sabrina, what are you up to lately? You got anything to pitch? You got anything?
Anything the listeners might be interested in checking out?
Oh gosh, am I terribly boring if I say no?
Nope.
Well, you already said
even
you
like,
wrote on
are you on
that
social
one show,
media? Like, do you want to share your Instagram or anything like that?
Sure. I mean, I'm terrible. I'm a lurker on social media, but if people want to follow, they can follow. I'm at the Fickle Finger of Fate.
Wow. No spaces.
No
punctuation.
No spaces. The Fickle Finger of Fate. And
that's a good name because you can understand what you're saying, and there's no need for a spelling. Like I feel like sometimes people are like,
we know what those words are.
My word is, or my name is like two words combined, and I'm gonna say it, and now I have to spell it so that you know.
Spelled with a Y instead of an I. And
it's Matt McGregor, but spelled with a 6
yeah.
and a 4 and also an ampersand.
All right.
Cool.
I think that's a great note to end the show on.
Well, that's been our Evil Dead coverage, and thanks to Chris Morocco for making the theme. Thanks to all our guests, including Sabrina, for doing this. And
thank you guys for inviting me. I'm so excited I got to do this.
Awesome. Cool. And so we'll be back next time for The Naked Gun, starring Leslie Nielsen.
All right.
Canadian Leslie Nielsen.
That's enough.
Famous Canadian Leslie Nielsen.
Take Ryan Reynolds back.
Don't shoot your guns in the air.
All right. Bye.